I want to welcome everybody to our July board meeting, and we've asked Dr. Walski to open us in prayer and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody good? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come to this meeting tonight. Lord, please be with the board as they make decisions and let them make them with you in thought. And Lord, we just thank you for dying on that cross for our sins. Be with them tonight and be with us as this new school year gets ready to get started. In Jesus' holy and precious name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Walski. Next on our agenda are the consent items, consisting of today's agenda, minutes of our June 8, 2021 meeting, and fundraisers for JV cheerleaders. Also, policies for revision, IDCG honors program, and JBF release time. Any questions or concerns on the consent items?
The honors program.
Okay.
Is this a second?
This is the approval time for it. So if it's something that you're still concerned on in it, you need to either pull it out or.
There are some questions. And I guess the first question is, why are we changing it from how it was? I guess we had some discussion on this.
It was up for review, and I mean, that was the timing of it back in May. So yeah, we brought up a few things on it. So there was some things that was being asked, and some of it, I know with one of the things that I asked about, I asked Dr. Light to look at with and discuss with the teachers and faculty, just the concern that I had was with dual enrollment and with future having someone the possibility of coming in here, just never have been in Lincoln County, come in, move in, take a class or two in freshman year, and then dual enroll the rest of the time, and we never knew them. Someone wasn't even from Lincoln County. I mean, that was one of the things that and that was based on what Dr. Light said. He looked at with the teachers. They thought the AP classes, that might be a way, that to encourage that part of it, to keep them in for AP. But if you think we need to pull it out and discuss it more, we can.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we can pull that out of the consent items and put it back on the table for discussion.
Okay. I think there's still some questions about it, so.
Okay. All right, we've been asked to pull out the honors program from the consent items, so we're going to remove just that item, IDCG. And present again the rest of the items for consent items.
I'll make a motion.
All right, I have a motion to accept all the consent items listed minus the IDCG honors program.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Mass. All in favor? Unanimous. And we'll discuss that more at the policies for revision at the bottom.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is public participation. Before we do public participation, I'd like just to read a few items for our public that apply to the speakers for the public participation. An appropriate amount of time will be designated for public comment on the agenda, and this is not to exceed 30 minutes. Any individual desiring to speak should give her name and the name of the group, if any, that he or she is representing. The individual should speak to the board, not the audience. Each speaker shall not exceed 3 minutes, and unless an extension time is granted by the majority vote of the board. The presentation should be as brief as possible, yet should include all information considered important by the speaker. If a group has presented a matter, others speaking on the same subject shall usually be limited to 1 minute each and are asked not to repeat the same ideas. Questions, suggestions, proposals, or criticisms that have been presented verbally should also be submitted, when practical, in writing, and should be signed by the individual or spokesperson of the group appearing before the board. Persons appearing before the board are reminded as a point of information that members of the board are without authority to act independently as individuals in official matters. Any person concerned with an administrative question should exhaust all administrative channels before presenting the same to the superintendent and/or board. Any personal complaint of school personnel will be received in executive session only and must be in writing. These complaints must have first progressed through the established chain of command, such as personnel who are responsible for the matter in question, level 1 administrator or school principal, and then the central office administrator. Any appeal or complaints of a specific student disciplinary matter will be handled through the procedures specified in board policies JCE and JCEB. No profane or vulgar language or personal abuse against any person will be permitted. Questions from the board members and/or superintendent may be asked for clarification after the presentation. Visitors must refrain from conversing with individual board members during business procedures. And response to identified questions will be returned within 72 hours. This time, I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Shannon Shelton.
Good evening. I'm Shannon Shelton. And I'm here, I don't particularly know what agenda item this falls under, so, but I'm here in support of a personnel matter. So, and I will explain. Is that okay? All right. I'm going to read fast, okay? 3 minutes right here. All right. Our district motto says, where our students reach their fullest potential through world-class learning, grounded in small-town values. I believe wholeheartedly in that statement. That's why I'm here tonight. I'm not here as an employee or a coworker. I'm here speaking tonight as a parent of a rising senior, a parent that wants her child to be given every opportunity to reach his fullest potential in the area he is most passionate about and that he wishes to pursue beyond high school. We've been blessed with some of the best teachers and coaches around. They've helped countless numbers of our students go on to careers in healthcare, construction, agriculture, food service, and so forth. Many of our student athletes have had goals and aspirations to move beyond high school and play at the next level, and have been able to do that because of the highly qualified coaches they have had to help hone their skills and show them the way. But not all of our students have those same career goals and aspirations. Many of them, like my son, are gifted and passionate about performing arts and want to go on to pursue a career in that area. They deserve to be given every opportunity and amount of expertise that can be passed on to them in order to make that happen. They deserve to have teachers that are highly qualified and knowledgeable to help them hone their gifts and talents in order to get them where they want to go. I would like to take the next couple of minutes to address the board on the issue of our musical theater department and the 2 teachers that have turned it into something phenomenal while helping shape the futures of so many of their students. If you're here tonight in support of Mr. Smith and Ms. Hobbins, would you please stand for just a moment? Some of these people here tonight as a student learned of a passion and skill they never knew they had until Mr. Smith or Mrs. Hobbins brought it out of them. Many of these same students went on to pursue a career in theater, music performance, or music education, one of which we are blessed to call our own, Jason Bonds. all because of the direct influence of not just the program of musical theater, but more specifically because of the influence of Carol Lee Hobbins and Randy Smith. It is my understanding that they would like to come back for another year, and I'm here to ask the board to do whatever is necessary in order to help make that happen. As it stands right now, there's no one waiting in the wings with the necessary training, education, or experience to run the musical theater department. No one nearly prepared enough nor highly qualified enough to take over and keep it running at or even close to the caliber it has been at for so many years. Without the leadership of Mr. Smith and Mrs. Hobbins, I'm afraid our students and the program itself will suffer. My son could not be here tonight because he has to work. I'm almost through. But when I asked him his thoughts on the possibility of Mr. Smith and Ms. Hobbins not being here for his senior year, he said, "I'd be losing my biggest role models, two of the biggest people in my life that have pushed me to be the best that I can be." When Mr. Smith asked me what I wanted to do after school, I told him I want to do this. I want to do musical theater. I want to perform. He told me I could do it. And they don't just tell us what to do to be better, they show us what to do. These kids have already been robbed of 1 year of opportunity to learn from and hone their skills and talents under the tutelage of Mr. Smith and Mrs. Hobbins because of COVID. I'm asking you, the board, please don't rob them of another year. Please consider the request of Mr. Smith and Mrs. Hobbins. Please take this to a vote tonight and allow our musical theater kids, especially the seniors, 1 more year with the most qualified teachers we have to offer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person signed it, and I can't read that signature.
That would be me, but you can go to the next person.
Okay. All right.
I'll wait.
Thomas Folger.
Yes, sir. So I'll be representing the alumni, I suppose, as opposed to a parent, hopefully. What I will say is this. I'm also speaking on behalf of having Carol Lee Hobbins and, of course, Randy Smith come back to instruct in musical theater. Now, they do more than just prepare you to sing and dance on stage. And I know as the board, y'all want what's best for the students. And I can speak, as well as Ms. Shannon, that they are the most qualified individuals I've come across at the high school level, by far. They have not only taken me from where I was, which was an 8th grader, to being ready to go into college. I was able to graduate from university with a music degree, and I can say that exclusively because of 4 teachers. And one was my choir director at church, another was Jasper Dukes, Carol Lee Hobbins, and Randy Smith. Both those teachers, without their help, I would have never been able to achieve what I was able to do. And with that, y'all want what's best for the students. That's hands down, and y'all have to look at a variety of factors. But I can say with certainty that these two are the most qualified individuals. They have more years of experience than I've probably been on this earth. On top of that, they have been able to handle high-pressure situations when it comes to leadership due to their years of experience. They both have access to resources that are beyond the normal standard that you might find with any teacher in Lincoln County. They bring in a level of culture and world experience that only comes through doing this job for many, many years. I personally think that they are the best teachers for this position because they've been doing it not only for so long, but because every year they bring something new to the table. And that allows people to go from a 9th grader to a senior, and the whole point of it is to prepare them for the real world. And they do exactly that. Now, you know, they may be ready to retire next year or in the years to come, but if they're looking to come back for another year, it should be done, every measure taken to have them come back to provide the best education possible for them. Because I can speak from experience, they will get students not only to the next level, but have them well prepared to succeed at the higher level. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Bonds.
Thank you for giving us this time. I am, as you know, the music teacher at the elementary school. I'm just here to show my support for the musical theater program under the direction of Ms. Hobbins and Mr. Smith, and tell you a little bit how it impacted my life. I've seen musical theater programs in many schools, most much bigger than ours, but ours can rival any one of those that I've seen. This program, it changed my life. I was shy, timid, happy to be in the background. I didn't talk, I didn't sing above a whisper unless I was in the choir blending in. I'm not athletic, and musical theater gave me a place where I belonged in an athlete's world. It was a place where everyone belonged and bridged the gaps in our social climate. And those two used the program to push me because they saw my potential. They could see what I could not see, and it changed my life. It's also one of the things that most prepared me for performing in music school on the college level. And now I'm able to share that with all of the students of Lincoln County at the elementary school. And I'm just one example, as you've seen many sitting here tonight. My professional opinion is a mentoring process would be a great idea to, pass the torch along to very capable hands that we have. We have many capable, but it's a big change to just start from scratch. And I feel like if we skip that process, it could be pretty damaging to our program. And so thank you all for being approachable and letting us speak here tonight.
Miss Mandy Etheridge.
Dr. Light and members of the Board of Education. My name is Mandy Etheridge, and I would like to speak to you for a few moments regarding the leadership of the musical theater program at Lincoln County High School. I am about to begin my 18th year teaching 5th grade at the elementary school, and I also have 2 children of my own who are graduates of Lincoln County High School and who participated in the musical theater program. Therefore, I'm speaking to you as a teacher and as a mother. I would like to urge you as the board to take whatever steps necessary to secure the leadership of Mr. Randy Smith and Mrs. Carolee Hobbins for the musical theater program for this upcoming school year. I urge you to allow Mr. Smith and Mrs. Hobbins the opportunity to lead musical theater this year, with one of their main goals being to provide on-the-job training for their successors. While the passion with which they lead this program and have led it for many years cannot be taught, the strategies and procedures they use to take a program from the drawing board to the final bow can be demonstrated through a mentoring program like Mr. Bonds mentioned. The musical theater program is too valuable to our school system not to give it the utmost consideration. From the perspective of a mother, I personally saw my own 2 children thrive under the direction and leadership of Mr. Smith and Mrs. Hobbins. These remarkable individuals have the unique gift of seeing potential in students that the students themselves, nor sometimes even their parents, can see. From the perspective of a teacher, one of my greatest joys each year is attending the spring performance and seeing my former students sing, dance, act, and perform important technical duties, and often surprise themselves at what they can achieve. All because Mrs. Hobbins and Mr. Smith believe in them and led them to believe in themselves. Because ours is a small school system, there's a special sense of ownership we feel for our students. When I see my former students in the musical theater programs each year, it's very emotional. I swell with pride at what they have accomplished and remember the early experiences they had at the elementary school, many of whom participated in the ensemble programs at our school and talked even then about being in the big plays at the high school. In much the same way that many of our students aspire to participate in athletics, many of our students aspire to participate in the arts. We need to make sure we provide equal opportunities for students to participate in the activities about which they are passionate. Thank you for your consideration in this matter.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chamberlain?
I'm just gonna say, Mr. Barksdale isn't smiling since you came back. Just saying. I'm not gonna stand, but I consider myself a pretty, macho kind of guy, and I did drama and I was an athlete, so confidence builder, it's perfect. Those kind of activities, it was great, did me great. So now I'm going to talk about something that some people may feel uncomfortable about. The vaccines. Are we going to do vaccines mandatory for the kids? Someone brought it up to me, said hey, Georgia was going to try to make it mandatory. If that is true, I will remove my kids from school. I haven't seen good things happening, and if the vaccine works, why doesn't it work? Because it's not working. Same thing with face masks. We're talking about kids like 3 years and up wearing face masks. I told you guys last year that kids don't spread it. They don't even get sick from it. In fact, only 350 kids nationwide have actually died from it, and that's because they had underlying conditions that were severe, like leukemia. I also like to remind people, me being in the military and being a part of the Seaburn field, these are the same people that tested syphilis on black soldiers and let some of them die. They're the same ones that created LSD, a chemical officer, Agent Orange, the Gulf War syndrome, the MMR shot that causes isolated autism in black boys at a much higher rate than any other gender or ethnicity, the flu shot, which gets me sick with bronchitis and pneumonia every single time and almost kills me, and many more things. And now we're finding out that these vaccines don't really work because we've got entire cruise ships who all got vaccinated, but now they have a pandemic on the cruise ship. So that's a question I have to ask you guys. If I get more time, I'll like to go into the critical race theory portion, and that's up to you guys if you want to make it separate.
As far as just public participation, you really just have the 3 minutes per.
Okay.
So,
I'll continue it next month.
thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to our financials. Ms. Buffer?
We are at the end of our fiscal year, so we are showing 100% of our fiscal year complete. Obviously, we're still not closing the books yet. We've got payables and receivables that will affect it somewhat, but you can get a good idea of where we're standing at the end of June. On our revenues, we are at 106% of our budget, so we are collecting more than we had budgeted. I looked up a couple of them. The title ad valorem tax last year, we were at 134%, where this year we're at 195%. So apparently the general public in Lincoln County is buying cars again, so that's a good thing. And that tax has gone up considerably from what we budgeted. The local ad valorem taxes are at 107%. Last year they were right at 100%, 100.04. So I looked a little bit on that. A lot of that collection is the prior year's tax. That was about $227,000. And then I didn't change the budget when we passed the property tax in September. It actually would have made it go up about $64,000, but we didn't amend the budget for that. So that's the main explanation for both of those. In FY20, the prior year was about $141,000, and in FY19 about $182,000. So that is, we are collecting more of the old taxes this year than we had been in previous years. So I feel like that's a lot of that reason for that to be a little bit higher.
In your time, in your position, do you recall us hitting 107%?
I don't think so. That's pretty high. I mean, I'm usually hitting around 199, that kind of mark. So this seems high for the collections like that. On the expenditure side, we are at 94.34%. Last year we were at 94.3, so we're very close to where we were at this point last year. So we do have some things that we did not spend. I checked on a couple of those. The maintenance and operations at 88%. The electricity was a little bit lower than we budgeted, even after taking out the lease payment and some of the projects at the elementary and the high school. We either didn't do or they didn't cost as much as we had estimated originally. On the transportation, the insurance was a little lower, fuel was a little bit lower. State health, apparently a couple of people did not have state health that I had budgeted for, so it's just kind of a mix there of different things. But that brings us to the balance sheet with cash in the bank of $3.5 million and a fund equity of $2.694 million. So the fund equity is looking really good for this time of year. If that does hold through all of our accruals and everything, we'll wind up with a healthy fund balance. For our SPLOST collections, you can see that they are again at a little over 80,000. So the SPLOST has done quite well this year, and we hope that continues. On our SPLOST summary, you can see we've got $404,950.67 in the SPLOST account, $399,764.19 in the bond tax, for a total of $804,714.86 going towards those payments. After we make the October payment, we're going to have about, as of right now, $421,000 toward that $1.16 million in April. So those higher SPLOST collections are definitely making that figure look good. Now, capital projects, we've got about $92,000 available for projects. And now we've got some new reports. The legislature, in all their wisdom, decided that there were certain things we needed to report to the board each month, but they didn't give us a format for that. So they said that that was supposed to be formatted by us, but they wanted you as board members to know what the outstanding purchase orders were at the end of each month, what the monthly amount was that had been paid, what the year-to-date, and how that compared to the budget. Now, you'll notice in the reports that I give you normally for the general fund, you have the year-to-date, but you don't have a month-to-date. So I had to come up with a format, and what I used was the actual budget that we passed. You know how you pass the budget with the columns for general funds, special revenue funds, capital projects, and debt service. So each of these pages is one of those columns. So the first one is the general fund, and this should hopefully match the figures that I gave you on that. So I'm showing it to you as you passed it in the budget. Local taxes, other, state, federal, other sources, transfers in. The expenditures according to the functions. And the last column there is the purchase orders. We don't normally put purchase orders on the financial statements because those are things that we have ordered but have not received. So we don't actually owe for that, so it's not a payable. It's just something that we have committed to order. So that's the first one is the general fund. The second one is the special revenue funds. That's going to be your Title I, your other federal grants, and your school food service. So you can see the figures there, same thing, same format as the budget. Third one is the capital projects fund. Not a lot of activity there, other than the transfer in from the general fund. And then the debt service fund, and that shows you the local taxes, that's the bond taxes. The other local sources is the sales tax, and then the payments on the bonds. So that's the new statements. I'm hoping that maybe our PC Genesis, our computer software, will come up with some method where they can actually just run the reports just like they do for the general fund and not have to create one. But at this point, we're trying to meet what the legislature is requesting.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Buffer? Go ahead, Ms. Sharp.
On a special revenue fund,
Mm-hmm.
you got this PO out here in maintenance and operation, $251,000.
Right.
What is that?
That would be I believe that's some HVAC units under the CARES 3. We're working on the CARES 2 and CARES 3, the flooring and HVAC units.
Those are going where? Where are those air conditioning
Would either be
Here.
high school, right, or we're looking at, in fact, there's one sitting over there right now which is for the chorus room.
Okay.
And then some of them will be over there as well, but most of them will be right here.
Okay.
And those will be installed before school starts, right?
That's the plan if it'll quit raining.
Hmm.
And I can't guarantee that the ones, like, as an example, in the gym would be installed, because they're not here yet. But the one that's there in the chorus room is supposed to be installed before school starts, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Buffer.
Yes, sir.
Let me back up one question, sorry. So, you said that, we're having a lot of money come in. Has this ever happened in your tenure, Ms. Buffer? A lot of extra money?
From the federal,
Local?
local,
Yeah.
like the SPOS, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
No, not really. I looked back, let's see, I thought I printed it, but I'm not taking it off the printer. I looked back, and back in '08 and '09, we were having a lot of 70s and 80s and, you know, the high figures like that. And once it bottomed out there, it has not gone up that high since then. So this is something unusual right now. I don't know, you know, how that's happening, but it looks good for Lincoln County.
It does. What do you do with that extra money?
Well, the SPOS is all designated for the bond payments. That's all we can do with it.
Okay.
So it has to stay in that special, it's set aside in a separate fund, and it can only go for payments for the bond and interest.
Thank you.
I know, just going back to the ad valorem, though, you made some comments, there were a couple hundred, maybe 200,000 that you kind of could account for with that. Some of that's just gotta be some of our digest too, right?
Well, the 200,000 is the prior year taxes, like taxes that were collected from a previous year. We get interest and the tax on that, and so that's what that was some extra. Because the way I do the budget is I take the digest and multiply it times the millage rate, and then times 96%. Because the tax commissioner gets 2.5%, and then I figure there's going to be some uncollected there. So I budget 96% of the digest. This year I didn't actually change it. It was only about 60,000, so I didn't change the budget. We could have changed it for that. So that part of it I know is the digest. But then there's about 200,000 more than that that's prior year collections, and that's a little bit higher than it normally is. So I think that's why this is a little bit higher percentage.
Once again, anything else for,
That's it.
Number 3.
all right? Next on the agenda is a resolution calling for special purpose local option educational sales tax referendum.
As I think everybody is aware, but just as a reminder, SPLOST, or Local Option Education Sales Tax, is a 5-year commitment made by the community. Ours, again, as Ms. Bufford said, is all designated towards paying off the bonds. And those bonds, of course, are for the new school building. So it is time for us to be able to pass another local option education sales tax referendum for the next 5 years. This one actually ends in 2022. So we need to get it on the ballot for November. So in talking to Ms. Bolton, she said that she needed it by the 1st of August. So I brought it forth to the July meeting. Corey actually created this, our attorney created this. You can see the resolution in front of you. I would be willing to read it, but we can let them read it if you would like. That's your call.
I trust that we read it.
Okay? Okay. And we're asking for approval to pass this and to put it on the ballot for the community to vote on again, to maintain the bond payments through this local option sales tax.
Be the same percentage that exists today.
Same everything, yes. And one thing we had to change was due to that increase that Ms. Bufford was just talking about. You see that number right there on the bottom where it says 5 million. We had to raise that. The way a local option sales tax works is if we had, let's say, 3 million on there and we gained more than 3 million, you can't receive it. You can only receive as much as that maximum amount says. So you bump up that maximum amount so that you don't receive that much. So we had to do that. That was the only change, is that maximum amount is now 5 million.
Any questions on this referendum? And you can see that's what we will put on the ballot.
That's what the ballot will state, yes,
It's
sir.
up there now.
And that 5 million is a 5-year total.
Yes,
Is the
sir.
way I read that.
Yes,
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Currently we're at 834 as far as the current year. So that's why we did.
Yeah, we had to
I
vote
just
it
want to
up.
make sure I was in line. Gotcha.
What would happen is, again, if it was, say, at 3 million or 2 million, and you surpassed that, you met this local option sales tax, so it would end, and then you would have to vote on it again the next time. To prevent that from happening, you bump it up to a maximum amount that you don't think you'll reach.
We've never, unfortunately, we've never come that close to one before, but with the 80,000s that this past year has been.
Correct.
We felt we needed to do that.
I make a motion, we accept.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Reese to accept the referendum as presented.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous? Next on the agenda is active termites in gym.
I know the board is well aware of this because I contacted you when this happened. It was on June 14th, 2021, in the custodial closet on the middle school end of the high school. There was a line found, if you know anything about active termites, they create a line on a wall if they have to go outside into the light. And we noticed that there was active termites there. We contacted our local exterminator and had him come in to verify that it truly was active termites, and he instantly identified that it was active termites. As you're aware, directly across the hall from that would be the gymnasium. Now, that building was not built with a lot of wood. There's basically concrete and steel, but that floor is all wood. And for them to be that close to that floor, we had him come in to verify it was active termites. As he continued to look, he found active termite lines on the ramp that goes down into the locker room off of the gym. So again, they're getting closer and closer. So in contacting the board, letting them know what was going on, we had Mr. Wingrove treat it, and there is a warranty bond on his treatment. So I hope and pray nothing happens and that they're all dead, but if they're not, then we are warranted and guaranteed that he did everything he could to stop them. So if they ate the floor, we would have the opportunity to replace it under that warranty. That's why we did it that way. So I'm asking the board in a meeting to approve this. You can see the two bids to the left, or the two statements to the left. One was much, much less, but that's just a treatment. That's not a whole plan to eliminate them. And we went with the whole plan to make sure that they would not eat the gym floor. Just being honest, folks.
Question, what were they eating before this? I mean, what? There's no wood over there.
To be honest, I don't know what they could have possibly gotten into, but they have obviously been eating on something in there, and I don't know what it was. I asked the same question because there's steel and concrete there.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me there were some wooden shelves in the
There-
custodial
There
closet?
is wooden shelves in there, but to me, that's not enough for a whole colony, but I'm not a termite, I don't know.
I make the motion that we act on the termites as superintendent has presented.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Heitman. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you all.
All right, these next requests, just remind the board that you will be seeing these names. This is not something, we won't be discussing the names, but we will vote on each of these individually for the student enrollment request. So I ask you to open them up and look at them. All right, first request. See the comments. You see that it has been recommended by the high school principal. This is a Georgia resident, and therefore they would not, we would get FTE for them, and they would not be paying
Tuition.
any tuition or anything to attend our school if we approve them.
You want a motion for each one of them?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for this first one.
Okay, have a motion to accept this enrollment request.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Please open the second one. Okay, now the light, this does not have the superintendent principal's signature on this.
Not supposed to.
This is the first code. There's Ms. Arthur here. She must be.
Yeah, she may.
Do you need her to come up there then? Let us know.
Can, but I know she signed all of them.
Okay, I mean, just for us to see it, so it's hard to confirm.
It'd be nice.
Ms. Arthur,
Yes, sir.
one of the ones that's an elementary student does not have your signature on it. Could you come up here and confirm that you've approved this for us?
Yes, sir. We had trouble getting it to print off yesterday. I guess I
Come on this side, you won't be able to read it.
Before I signed the one that we couldn't read. I said, this is not good.
That's not the one you couldn't read, because that one.
That one.
You approve? Okay.
Yes.
Just hang out, to make sure we got it.
Yes, sir.
Any
All right.
point?
Okay, yeah, this is an out-of-state
This
student,
is tuition.
so they will be required to pay tuition. What is the tuition now?
Tuition this year is $3,500 per year per student.
Okay.
Does that have to be paid in full, or is that
It's paid in 4 installments.
4 installments?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
All right, we have a motion to accept the student, this request.
I'll say.
We have a second by Mr. Reese. All in favor? Unanimous? Go to the third, please.
This one got.
All right, again, this is an out-of-state student.
I'll make a motion we accept this student.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Madison to accept this student.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Barstow. All in favor? Unanimous? All right, we're on request number 4 now, also out of state.
This is the renew, is this one
That's
that's
what was
already
read
in there,
last
right?
year.
Okay, that's what I read that.
I'll make a motion. That's it.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Reese, second by Mr. Hyden. All in favor? Unanimous? And the final one. This one's in-state. You notice that this is, a family.
3 students, same thing.
We have multiple schools, and you have two principals' signatures on this one.
I'll make a motion to accept.
We have a motion by Mr. Lightman,
Second.
second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Lightman.
Thank you, Ms. Arthur.
Sorry. Okay, policies for revision. IDCH, dual and joint enrollment programs.
It's the first reading for this policy, dual and joint enrollment programs. The changes in this policy were to not only update it because it was last revised in 2016 when dual enrollment was coming out. A lot of the terms are different. A lot of the statements and terms have been updated. And what we did is we went through and updated it so that it reflects the current law. Georgia Finance Commission created by OCGA 20-2-161-3. And as you pull down to page 2, you see 20-3-519. The reason for doing that and leaving it in a law state is if the law changes, then our policy is still up to date because it reflects right back to the law. And if they would alter this law to meet a need that the legislation thinks is necessary, we would still be able to follow this instead of constantly going back and changing our policy. So this is following the law and trying to eliminate the inaccuracies such as the old term move on when ready and bringing it up to date with the law. The next one is KG, which is use of facilities. The board talked about use of facilities and the challenge of when you could use the facility. So created an update as an example on page, what is that, 4? And 4, on page 4. The bottom of page 4 identifies Buddy Bufford Field, Larry Campbell Stadium. The stadium is only available for rent from January 1 to April 30th. The reason for that, as we talked about up here before, was you're getting the field ready, you have chemicals on it, you're creating an opportunity for whoever is renting it to be on that field when you are working on it, treating it, or you have a game the next night. To eliminate that problem, we give a window of when that stadium can be rented. One adjustment we had to make was so that Pop Warner could rent the facility for football games, because their football games are during the time that our football games are. We wouldn't want to exclude our own students. So we added that caveat in there. As you come down to the next page, you see Howard Ellis Track and Field. There's a time when you can rent that from June 1 to November 30th. Again, putting specifics in there, no vehicles on the field, nothing left on the field. Any damages to the surface will be replaced by the leasee. The softball rental, baseball rental, all of those were added, trying to give an idea of when we will be using the field or when someone could rent it. Was a purpose and change to this policy.
At the bottom of that one, rehearsal day, performance day, is that just the terms we're using for setup and the actual event?
That's the term that is used for usually renting the auditorium, but also if they had something at Larry Campbell Stadium where they would have a rehearsal day, we don't charge them the same fee because they're rehearsing and then they come back for the performance.
Okay. That was just.
And going back up to, I think this is what you want me to do.
Yeah, IDCG.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Go back to IC.
Can we do it talking about that one?
No,
No,
you
we
got
can
some
talk
stuff
some
on
more
it.
if you
Go
want.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I just went on.
Bring it up.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I mean, I guess you've already asked this question, but our insurance is aware of these rentals and they're good with all that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We would be covered just like we would be using the field, yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay, going back to, if you don't have any more questions, I'll go back to IDCG. There were some questions on that earlier, so we pulled it off of the agenda and we're bringing it back for discussion.
You ready for discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I need to understand it a little bit better. There's a few questions. I want to look at your pros and cons. I think there's a chart that shows AP testing results over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, there's one for the last 5.
Oh, last 5?
Yes, sir. There you go. Michael's putting it up for us right now.
Okay. So, the interpretation of this thing.
All right. Of the chart or of the policy or both?
Well, just for example, like, I'm not 100% sure about this, but Georgia schools accept a certain score on an AP test, is that right?
Well,
How does that work?
part of the complication that I sent in the email today is if that particular course is in your concentration major.
Mhm.
As an example, if you're going to be a nuclear physicist,
Right.
then if you took, let's say, AP Calculus in high school and got a 5, and you're going to go to Georgia Tech's going to say, good job, we'll give you that as an elective credit because you've got to take Georgia Tech Calculus, because AP Calculus is not near as rigorous as Georgia Tech Calculus in Georgia Tech's mind, and I'm not one that could even possibly argue that. However,
Yeah.
they have, and I think I sent this to all the board already, the colleges have their own, what they call transfer equivalency.
Mhm.
If it's not in your major, they're more likely to accept it. If you're going to, let's say, Augusta University to be a nurse, and I'm going to turn around and pick on Michael because his daughter's going through this right now. They believe that biology is the most important, so she has to take biology with them and obviously do well. If she would to transfer to a different school and take nursing, they believe chemistry is more important, so she would have to take chemistry with that new school. Michael, jump in at any time so I don't say something I shouldn't say.
Oh,
But-
so we just use UGA just as an example. So if a student takes dual enrollment classes, yes, all schools, if it's USG school, they must take the course, but it depends on your major. So for instance, several of the classes my daughter took, they took them, but they're electives. So it's coming upon the parents with dual enrollment that they look at the school that they're planning to attend and know, does this class counts, will it be an elective or does it count in my core as academic credit? So they will take it, like 3 of the class she took, they took it, but it's an elective. But she still must take some math classes, even though she took math classes in in high school and dual enrollment. So that kind of depends on with dual enrollment, you gotta kind of look, they will take it, no matter if it's, depending on the school, but it may be an elective. For instance, some schools are a little more stringent. They may not take it, they won't count it to anything but electives. Georgia Tech, UGA is a little bit on a lot of their things. With AP credit, some schools won't take it, like Stanford, some schools like that, and like I said, some schools like Georgia Tech. Some of those classes may not take it for a credit unless you get a 5. 3 is what we consider a passing score. We just use UGA as an example. If you get a 3 on the U.S. history, you won't get a credit. Even though you passed the test, you got what we consider a passing score. At AU, Augusta University, that 3 may get you a credit for political science or U.S. history 1. to 1876 or whatever the year. So it all depends on AP and dual enrollment. A lot of it depends on the institution that the student's going to be going to. So it's really not some people look at, they consider one higher than the other. Now, AP generally has the perception from colleges and admissions of being more rigorous. But again, if you take biochemistry somewhere, I'm pretty sure that's very much more rigorous than taking AP biology. So, it all depends on what class you're taking. So this just kind of as an example to kind of get your understanding of what's the somewhat pros and cons without trying to skew you one way or the other of how dual enrollment and or AP credit could or could not count as a academic core credit for a student.
So you mentioned AU. Let's just use AU for example.
Yes, sir.
But if a student chose to go dual enrollment and they actually went and took the course at AU and passed the course, then it's automatically accepted.
If you're at that school, you're
so
fine.
this way you have to keep up with it. Know where you are. It could be an elective. It could be counted.
Yes.
If they dual enroll and go to AU or GMC, who we have over here, it will be automatically accepted.
they're
Whatever they make. If they
Yes.
pass it with a 96, they get the credit no matter what, correct?
Yes, so it's like in my sister's daughter's transcript, she went to East Georgia and GMC for dual enrollment courses. And so she took 9 in high school, no 8. 4 of them are just electives. Even though it's a math, it's a dual enrollment class.
And that's AP.
She took math and AP.
Okay.
She didn't get the high enough for the AP class score to count. She took the test, she didn't get high enough for it to count.
Right.
In the biology class she took, but in the dual enrollment classes she took, 4 of them counted as electives, 4 counted her core.
Okay.
Yes.
So why would we want a student to take an AP class when they can go to college and get a credit and they don't know? I mean, that's my problem with this policy. It's forcing somebody to take 2 AP classes.
That'll be y'all's choice.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, explain to me why you want to do that.
From your experience in your position and some of the other administrators, do colleges, because you referenced this, the acceptance at certain colleges, don't they, as you said, perceive AP as more rigor than a dual enrollment class?
Just at the general level, the perception, yes. But again, if you take a high level 2000 level course, it's no different than taking AP. So a lot of it depends on their perception is the AP is considered a more rigorous because you have that national test. Now it may not be as rigorous, but because you have that national test at the end that they can standardize it across the nation. So that's why it's considered because they have a standardized test. Now, with dual enrollment, we have the same standards, but just because the same standards, how it's taught at the school may be different. So that's why it's considered because they have that national test to make sure that everybody does the same. That everybody, if you took this test, no matter you in Georgia, New Jersey, you all took the same test, same assessment, and we can validate nationally whether you know the material or not. So that's why AP is considered a little more valid, but again, it depends on if you're going to school. If you know how to work it and look at what school you're going to, then you won't have an issue. But we didn't. It took us to after the first year doing it till we realized we better pay attention to what she's taking.
Yeah.
What if you make it 2 or 1?
No credit.
You're out.
Two or
You're out
one,
all
you
the
just-
way.
You have the high school credit, but you don't get college credit. Dual enrollment, if you pass class with a 70, you have a credit.
That's right. That's
You
the
have the credit.
difference.
Yes. However, that 70 will be on your transcript and when you request it. So just getting a 70 saying I got the credit, it may not count in your Hope GPA, but it will count on your overall institution GPA when you're trying to apply to get in the junior, senior, whatever division of business school you're trying to get into. So it'll catch back up with you later if you just get a 70 and say I got the credit.
What if you get like an 85 and versus a 2 on the AP? I mean, they're very similar.
Yeah,
And
well,
they don't count. One of them will, one of them won't.
85 you have credit, the 2 on the AP you don't.
That's right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Dr. Wallace?
I just, my 2 cents, before I came here, the school I was at before, we were lacking AP courses. And our big push was for dual enrollment because we had, just like we do here, we had GMC, like a school like GMC coming in. and we had our kids going out. We had an admissions counselor from the University of Georgia come that I got to speak to. Not a regular counselor. She was one of the ones who actually looks at the 45,000, 50,000 applications they get. And so I asked her about this, and she said, one, you need to get AP back in your school. She said, two, now valedictorian and salutatorian get to go anywhere in the state of Georgia they want. They're automatically accepted. But she said, if you're both number 3, so Michael Williams is number 3 in the class, Chris Walsky's number 3 in his class. And Michael Williams took 5 APs, Chris Walsky took 5 dual enrollments. They both passed the class. Michael Williams took AP, didn't pass one of the tests, didn't make it 3. She said they're still going to take him every time over Chris Walsky because they know that the AP course, with what they had to do to pass that class, even though they didn't pass the test, they're going to get the nod over Chris Walsky, who took and made 5 80s in his dual enrollment courses because of the rigor of AP. So, but prior to me leaving there and coming here, our push was on getting AP back in the school because of that same fact. It's something that does set you apart. Dual enrollment does too, but like Michael said, you know, you're going to get that credit anywhere in the state of Georgia. Is it an elective credit? Does it count towards your major? Those are the things that you got to keep up with. So AP is extremely important in setting yourself apart, whether you pass that test or not. Obviously, the higher grade you make, better off you are, and you have a chance for it counting as a credit. But to me, it's important to have that AP and have those. Your AP kids are going to dual enroll also. I mean, they're going to, once they kind of get that path. So when all of this came up, I had the same conversation with Dr. Light, Dr. Gumby, and Mr. Williams about what I was, so that's kind of where some of this came from with that, was that push with someone like the University of Georgia. And y'all know I'm not a Georgia fan, so, but by that being said, it's extremely important, and our kids need to know that too. In fact, I came into AP Biology this year and had the same conversation with them because this young man, he was trying to get out. Stop, don't get out. It doesn't matter if you pass that test. Pass this class and you're going to have the rigor. And I'm sure he would be more than willing to speak on that too with taking that AP Bio this year.
Can I talk? The AP classes are far more rigorous, yes, than dual enrollment. I don't want to downplay the importance of dual enrollment, but the AP test one is you work your whole year around it, and I took the biology test. I think at like the very end of the school year. It's probably the hardest test I've ever taken. It takes just like takes a lot of memory, but it also takes a lot of critical thinking. I've taken 4 AP tests, and they every single one of those tests were harder than my one dual enrollment class, the whole class. That whole class was easier than just one of those tests. Although that was with East Georgia, but that's about it.
One of the things that you have that on page 1 there, if you would go, just, yeah, put it on page 1, please. You know, this was our honors policy. And you gotta realize, this, we're talking about our honors policy. We're not talking about graduation policy. This is honors policy. And you can see, I mean, there was a time when we had quite a few things that we required, and I see, some of the graduates out there right now, they fell under this policy. And, it's been, for lack of a better word, lessened. I wouldn't say dumbed down, but it's definitely some of those requirements have been taken away. I think having the AP is just putting one of those requirements back in there that is good for our honor students. And like I said, this is not everybody that graduates doesn't have to have it. There's plenty of people that are doing a tech role, a military, or different things, and they don't need it. But I think it's good that we see the good and the need for our honor students, and we reward them for doing it. That was my thoughts on it with AP.
But you reward dual enrollment also, the same amount, don't you?
Well, I'm talking about, yes, we reward as far as the extra points for the, when calculating GPA, but I'm saying reward, like our valedictorian, salutatorian, for taking it, being willing to take the AP classes.
Can you go to the pass rate?
Okay.
I mean, to me, that's comparing us to the rest of the state of Georgia. 30% of our people make 3 or higher. If I was a parent sitting down looking at this, I would rather my child go to dual enrollment and get a college credit. Now you tell me what's good about 30% of our people taking that.
I'm not saying that that's enough, but scan down a little bit, Michael. There's a 32, and then years before, 41, 51. In 2015-16 is when we first signed the document with East Georgia. We started pushing the dual enrollment harder in 17-18 than we did 16-17. So you see the numbers greatly change as you start moving up in the number of kids that took it from a 47 to a 28.
I mean, look right there, 13 kids took English language and comp and 1 passed it. I mean, I think we need to look at something else versus that. I mean, there's no way I'd tell my child to take that right there with it. When you can go take a college class and it's paid for, it's free. And that's just my concern.
All right, so what's confusing to me, Dr. Wolski, is you said that University of Georgia doesn't care what you score on that AP exam. That's basically what I understood.
That's what the counselor told me.
As far as the acceptance.
Acceptance.
Well,
Not the acceptance to get to the college, not the acceptance of the class, no.
And we're
He
not
said two different
downplaying the
things.
dual enrollment either.
Well,
We're still encouraging those kids to take dual enrollment, but we're also, one of the words I use with the kids when I talk to them all the time about this, what are you doing to set yourself apart? Take this AP course and show them. Take this dual enrollment too, but now we're limited to 30 hours that the kids can take for dual enrollment, outside of the limited number of kids that can pay for something over 30 hours. So we're really narrowing down. I'm gonna tell the kid, take AP Lit, but take English 1101 too. Get the college credit, but still take AP Lit.
And these are our A students. These are our smartest people, and 30% of them passing it.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some, now, it's according to what grade you're taking that in, because a lot of our kids, the way that dual enrollment came about and has manifested itself, you've got kids who are gonna go dual enrollment, they're not gonna take this. So you've got these group of 10 kids that in the past have been taking dual enrollment, and I don't wanna say any lesser are staying here and taking, but no, the way dual enrollment has been pushed out in the past, and that was where my mistake came in, or not mistake, but you can get as many hours as you want. I was 100% against AP. No, you go do dual enrollment. But now that we're boxed into 30 hours, and this is where I'm looking for our kids who can't pay for more than 30 hours, set yourself apart. You need to take the AP, get the dual enrollment. You need to get all 30 hours of that dual enrollment. 100%. It's paid for. You're just giving away money if you don't. But I just had this conversation with a student again the other day. Take the AP Lit.
I agree with that.
So I agree with that statement.
But we should not punish the valedictorian and salutatorian for not taking the AP class. And that's pretty much what you're doing.
I think that's a way of setting them apart too. And you're not punishing them for it. You're encouraging them to do it. Which they can take an AP. Well, we just had U.S. history left. We don't have that this year. But we will get that back. So they'll be able to take that. I think we got one AP their sophomore year, the way it's set up right now. And then junior and senior years, they can take that also, the rest of the APs that we offer. And we just had AP Art, so that's going to come in for sophomore year too, get approved today. So, yeah, you're still encouraging dual enrollment too.
Can we look into this some more before we approve this?
Yeah, you can. We will set it on.
I mean, this is a big deal.
Well, I want to make it one point. Go back to the summa cum. Go back up, if you don't mind, Mike. Or go down. I'm sorry. Down. And then I'll show. So basically, I have it on mine. But the summa cum laude, if you read the number 3 on both, attainment of high school credit for 2 advanced placement courses, bam, cut off. Magna cum laude, which is 93 and above, attainment of high school credit for 2 advanced placement courses or dual enrollment. I think they at least need to say the same thing. I mean, we just cut off.
So you wanted to say what it
But
said
they're not-
previously?
Yeah.
They're not the
But
same.
that's the thing. I mean, they're two different.
But-
They're two different.
But you're telling your
Honors.
93 and above to take both, which I agree with Dr. Walski's statement. And in here, we're saying,
It's not both. It's or. It can be AP or the dual enrollment for the
Not summa.
93 and above.
Not for some.
not for SUMA, it's not. That's what I'm saying. For SUMA, we're not saying that.
That's what we're saying. It has to be AP because it's a higher.
But why not
Level.
get, what's high? You're saying that it advances them.
The summa cum laude. I mean, is
100%, I'm with you there, yes, sir.
and so it was saying that the AP is because of the more rigor. That it.
But I think that should be the student and the parent's decision. That's what we're discussing. That's what I'm saying. Just what Dr. Walsh said. He said he's gonna push his kids in the way of taking dual enrollment and AP classes. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
That statement needs to say the same exact statement as the one below it, is what I'm saying. Would you agree with that?
So you're saying the only difference would be the average, the overall weighted average
Yeah.
would be the only difference between the two?
And that's fine. I mean, that's the way that you think.
So I
I don't
don't-
agree with
that's
that. I think it should be the AP. I think that sets it apart. And that's what, like I said, that's my thought.
I think with the 30 hours, you're not, as it has changed, those students are gonna have to take the AP classes anyway. You're gonna have some.
Maybe, you're gonna have some kids who can pay for that, and they're, very few kids will qualify to do it their sophomore year anymore, but a few may. But you've gotta pay for out of pocket for everything over 30 hours. And we're, 54% free and reduced, so you're not gonna have many kids paying for it, but you could still have someone that if you switch those, that could not take an AP, just take dual enrollment, and then they pay for the dual enrollments. And they never take the AP course, and we don't see them, kind of like what Mr. Leroy said earlier.
Do I need a motion for this to be tabled?
No, but the thing is, we've got to give the superintendent some guidance, because, I mean, just to say it's not right, I mean, we got to tell him whether it's going back to the principals, or going back to counselors, or teachers, or what. I mean, we don't need to just say we don't like it. We need to tell him why and what needs to be done.
My concern is what our students are making on the AP classes, on the test after they get the course.
And that's, but at the same point, yes, they're not, and if we need to, discuss with teachers and different things, but, so, I mean, I know we look at 2017 and below that, our English, we had great success in English. Much better success. The 1 in 13, I have no clue how that, what happened with that. I don't know, that was before COVID stuff, right?
What's that?
The 1 in 13 of 2000, yeah, it was 19,
COVID's
20.
1920.
Yeah, so that was 18, 19. Yeah, I have no clue what happened with that class and why that would been that low.
And we had nobody take calculus in 1920.
You didn't have anybody to teach it until this year.
And but I mean, our students, I mean, we have had classes that had tremendous success with our AP. And, some of it, like you said, you see some of it is just that it has been dropped off as the dual enrollment came on, because, was it that some of our top students didn't take the AP classes anymore?
Retirement.
So, I mean, and that's, you know, so that's part of it.
Retirement of veteran teachers. That coincided with it. Retirement of some veteran teachers in
Yeah.
each of those, well, other than English, each of those other areas, math and English,
History,
math
'cause
and US
Mr.
history.
Bill was,
Yeah, and I don't think this is a high school problem. I mean, it starts way back. I mean, I'm not saying about teachers. I'm just saying that does not look good right there. That's our top students.
In Georgia as a whole is what, 60%?
Yeah.
We're getting a 3 or higher.
but see, at the same point though, I mean, we're not requiring them to get a 3, 4, or 5 to obtain summa cum laude on that. Based on the way this reads right now, it's just that they have to take 2 AP classes.
And pass them, obviously.
Yeah, and pass the classes.
But you're denying them a chance to get another college credit, more than likely for free. I
Like I said, not
don't
necessarily
agree with
for
that,
free,
but anyway, I ain't but one vote.
But that's what we need to decide what we want to tell, how we want Dr. Light and the administrators to approach this. You know, if this is what we're not wanting to see for our,
Can we have a work session? And discuss this with them?
something more.
If we do put this off, or not we, you, put this off, that will not affect this 9th grade, because, and you would have to jump in on this, I believe. So whatever August 5th, this 9th grade class starts under,
Yeah.
which is our old policy, is what would be in place for them. So then whatever changes with this would then roll to this 8th grade class. It would not affect this 9th grade class. So if it gets tabled and we move it out,
Right.
everything would change in there from the class of 26, 25 to 26. Right.
Yeah.
So all of that would have to
Right,
change.
26. So, I mean, that's the only thing we're tabling this, is that it does do that. Of course, without approving it fully tonight, I mean, as it is, it does that anyway, so.
Well, for
I
me,
mean,
I'm not trying to micromanage, but I don't understand all of the ins and outs of this, so it's gonna be hard for me to support it, that's all I'm saying. I know my son took the calculus AP, and he does, I think the scores come out tomorrow. He's pretty nervous about it, you know, he wants to go to Georgia Tech, I think, possibly, so, you know, and they might not accept it anyway.
That's correct.
But, you know, if he makes a 2 or a 5, you're saying it doesn't matter. And these guys are getting all riled up about that. I need to understand this a little bit more. I need more clarification. That's just me. And I don't know all the ins and outs, so.
I was just gonna say, if we table it tonight, we can have a work session, as you identified, that does push it back to the current 8th graders. So, or the incoming 8th graders for next year, because we can only start a new policy when you're looking at a balance out, when you're looking at grade requirements on the incoming freshmen. You can't change the rules on the current high school kids. So that being said, that would be affecting that incoming group. If you want to have a session on a work session, we can do that. I can try and bring in someone from the State Department to try and help explain it better than maybe Michael and I and Dr. Walski are doing. I don't know that that'll help, but I'll sure try. I want you to understand it as best as possible to make an educated decision on it. If it's the one statement of and or, is that worth a work session? I don't know, but if you don't understand it enough to make that decision, then yes, we need to talk about it further.
How long's it been in place currently? The current,
16.
16, I believe it was.
so it was changed in 16.
Yeah. And there's the changes that we moved from are up there with a line through it.
Yeah. Okay. That was just wording, basically, right? No requirement, or was it?
Yeah, the requirements are up there on top, but you can see it was revised in 87, 89, 92, 93, 94, 95, 97, 99, 01, 02, and so on.
So
It gets regularly revised.
your staff is 100% supporting this.
I'm gonna tell you what the primary two differences are, that you haven't discussed one of them, is and or. So in the current policy, is 2AB or dual enrollment to be highest honor. So the word changed from highest honor to magna cum laude, summa cum laude, similar to college. It's the same thing as with highest honor, honor, and with honor. So that's one change. And secondly,
But it had
is-
or, right?
Sir?
But the one previously had or in
It
it.
had
Yes,
or.
sir.
Yeah, that's
So
where I'm
that's the
saying, so
one
we took
difference.
that away in the one at the bottom,
Yeah.
and that's my, why take it away? I mean,
And we're, so if a student's getting the Hope GPA calculated, not every college class, dual enrollment class that you take gives you extra points in your GPA. So that's that one change, that if you take a dual enrollment class, if it's not a weighted core class as defined by Georgia Student Finance Commission, you won't get 10 points. You'll get 5. So it has to be a dual enrollment class that is a rigorous, such as you can't take math, they don't call it math development, a 1,000 class. It has to be 1,100 or higher. So if it's not remedial, which they don't use the word remedial.
and that goes back to why I made the comment, because it says as calculated by
Yes.
GSFC.
Yes, so and you gotta look on the list, and if
And
it's
figure it
1,100
out.
or higher, it's gonna pretty much count as an academic class, so that's another difference. So all AP getting 10, but to make sure that the AP and the dual enrollment balance, that the same rigor is there, that you will notice that it has to be a academic, or it don't really have to be academic, has to be a class that when we look at your whole GPA, it gives bonus points, so you'll get bonus points for that also. That's a long list, so we can't give you an exhaustive list of all classes, because classes, they offer so many, so there's not one list of just, here are the classes that are considered rigor.
And the big change also was because of the going to the semester-long grading versus every 9 weeks, we took that out for the new policy. And the valedictorian, salutatorian wouldn't be named till the actual end of the school year versus at the end of that third 9 weeks. So everybody's grades would be in.
In the AP, you get 10 points, even if you make a 1 on the AP exam.
Yes.
As long as you pass the course.
As long as you pass the course.
Senator O'Connell says he's okay with all the other stuff, but he thinks it should be both
Yes, sir.
still.
I see no reason to take it out.
Dr. Gumby.
Yes.
3 minutes.
Well, just listening, guys, you gotta know that there's just so many factors, and I guess you brought them all up to make a good decision. Of course, I was around when we started this policy, and we had a team, honors policy team, and at that time, the current administration wanted to link the new CCRPI. So CCRPI comes out, and of course, we want to match it so they make sure we have good scores. And then the change came because dual enroll came out, and of course, we didn't jump on the bandwagon, but it's a good program. So that's why it said dual AP or dual enroll. And then we had East Georgia come to our county, so why not have our kids go to East Georgia and get the free credit, and then GMC comes. So the change now is that they're changing, like Chris said, you only get 30 hours. So now you think, then we still want our kids to take those rigorous courses. So then after you've taken your 30 hours and you can't afford the college courses, then yes, take some AP courses. But it's a parent decision, and every year since 2011 when I was principal, I stood before parents at honors the honors meeting and said, it is up to you. What do you want for your child? And we had the honors policy there. So do you want your child to be valedictorian? Well, this is the criteria. So it's really a parent decision, and I think what we are doing is trying to make it best for all parents. And we can't just look at outliers. We can't just look at 2 or 3 kids. What's best for the whole school? What's best for all kids? And there was a push some years ago to get minorities in the AP. And so there's a push to get certain groups into dual enrollment. So you got to just think about all of that, and not just our top kids. We want all of our kids to be exposed to rigor, all of our kids to be exposed to college, and then I think just finding that plan that works for all kids, and not just the top kids. And we've gone through this. I think this is my 3rd revision, and each year we're trying to cut and shape and mold it, and I'm hoping that in the back of our minds we're doing it for all the kids. Because we want our middle kids, of the road kids, to go to college. Give them that access, and maybe that 1st or 2nd college class gives them that, motivation, determination to finish college. And the AP can do the exact same thing. So it's just a matter of what parents want, and then us, or you guys as a board, to make the policy to where anyone can achieve the goal that they want to achieve.
Thanks, sir.
So one more question.
Yes, sir.
If you do what Kyle says on the Summa and Magna, add the or dual enrollment, well, you see that as an issue?
It's the philosophy. So Jason has a philosophy, and right now Mr. Leroy has a philosophy, Mr. Reese has a philosophy. So it's just a philosophy. There are the school of thought that AP is more rigorous. It's a national test. If Mr. Williams already said, if I take it in Georgia, and take it in Alabama, and take it in California, national test, same test, so we all on the same level field. I can go to Piedmont Tech, Augusta University, University of Georgia, then sometimes you don't have that level playing field.
That's a good thing sometimes.
School of thought, yes, sir.
But what you're saying, Kyle, is move or dual enrollment.
I'm just saying, it's just like Mr. Gummy said, Dr. Gummy said, leave it up to the parents to make the decision. That's what it's going, that's what it's going to eventually come
they
down.
make the decision what the kids take, but we have to make the decision what requirements we want for our valedictorian and salutatorian. And that's, so I mean, yeah, the parent, all my kids, all 4 of them, even 5, I decided, I moved, made sure which ones, told them what they needed to take. And, the first 2, they didn't have dual enrollment options. It wasn't until the last 3 that had those. But, we decided, and at the same time, some of them had the goal of valedictorian, so they had to look at the things that were on those requirements too. And so, I mean, that's part of what you have to do. But here again, yes, it's the parents will decide for each of the child. We just have to decide what we want the requirements for our valedictorian and salutatorian. I mean, everything else on this, I'm in agreement to. It's just those 2 things are there. But, I mean, if you want to make a motion to change it to that, if it passes, it passes.
I make a motion that we change the number 3 on the summa cum laude to the same as magna cum laude.
To the same as the number 3.
As the number 3, yes.
Or it's dual enrollment or.
Or dual enrollment.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second to that.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second. All right, now we've got some discussion.
But you were saying like the dual enrollment person would, could be a student that's not in the school system itself. They're taking classes outside. They're not really
It
at the
could,
school.
yes. And even with the 30 hours, someone that has the money to pay for it can still get approved to take, yes, those classes.
But they are enrolled in this school.
Yeah, they would have to be enrolled as freshman or even as, definitely as a sophomore. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion on it? Like I said, my thing is, we have the different levels. I see, you know, and you can look back, I mean, these levels have been, you know, much more rigorous than that. You know, as far as the different classifications that were, you know, highest honor and different things in the past. Where you can see it took into SAT scores, ACT scores, where you had to score 3, 4, 5 on something. So, I mean, we've had all kinds of different requirements. But, you know, so it's much less than it used to be.
My thing about it, I would like to say though, is, as Dr. Walsh said, they changed it, it was unlimited. Am I correct by that?
When it first started.
When it first started, it was unlimited. Now it's 30 hours. So that's something that also has to be calculated in to this. We can't talk about the one-offs, we gotta talk about the whole as a whole,
You
and
know
that's
what,
why I
though?
say.
Those one-offs are the reasons we have policies, though. You know, my 12 years on the board, or 10 years on the board, a policy that was put in place years ago that you had to be in school on the first day of your sophomore year in order to qualify for valedictorian has come up one time in all the years. But if it had not been there, that kid would have been valedictorian. Someone sitting in this room would not have been on the stage that night if that policy had not been in place, that one off. And that's, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, that's what our policies are about. It's, you know, it's just like all rules. Most people don't need rules, but you put in rules because some people, they gotta have rules. And here again, this is just my opinion. I mean, I am one vote on it. We're about to vote on those motions. And if it goes, that's what it will be. But that's my reasoning for it. So I think the one-offs is really what we have to do. You know, we have to put in things thinking about those one-offs. Any other discussion?
I'm gonna vote thinking about everybody.
This was viewed by the superintendent and the principal. So Dr. Walski, you was in agreement with what's up there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. We'll call for a vote. All in favor of the motion that Mr. Reese made to change the summa cum laude to read 3 to read the same as the, you took it away from me now.
As magna cum laude.
All in favor? Yes. Have 3 opposed. Okay. That policy passes with that change.
Okay. Everybody else is okay with that policy, so that policy moving through with that change puts that policy in place. Am I correct, board?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Did you get that, Lynn?
Okay.
Okay. Just trying for clarification.
All right, procedures for review.
Okay, procedures for review. There was a question in the newspaper in regards to a procedure or a policy on our public participation. The board was in a training in May, I believe it was May 8th. In that training, they talked about the response time. We talked about it at our June meeting, the response time to identify questions. We would respond at a maximum at 72 hours. We normally do it right after that meeting, but if necessary, 72 hours. And we had actually placed that on the procedure back there in the back. This is a view of the procedure if there's a question, but I wanted to share that with the board tonight. The board doesn't vote on procedures, but I wanted them to see that. The next one down is the ethics policy that we worked on in that training. I had to do some typing to catch up, but here is that policy, here is that procedure that goes with our ethics policy. This is a procedure. The difference in procedures and policies, a policy is very general. If there is a change, it lays on the board for 30 days, comes back, as we were just talking about that policy, gets possibly discussed again, and then voted and becomes policy. A procedure can change on a daily basis, and it meets the needs of the district and the school system at the time, and the board is aware of those procedural changes. So this is a procedure or a procedural addition to the ethics policy, and the board worked through these as we were in that training. Anybody see anything in there that I possibly left out or we needed to add on that procedure? That's all I have for policy.
All right, superintendent's reports.
Okay, informational items. Open houses August 3 of this year, 2021, at all three schools, the exact same time, from 4:30 to 6:30, August 3. On the first day of school for teachers is July 29th. The first day of school for teachers, July 29th. First day of school for students, August 5, and I'm sure every student is anxious to come back, August 5. August 5 is the first day. Board, in front of you is your Georgia High School pass that you have to go through a procedure. If you have trouble with it, Dr. Gumby has become an expert at this. They have put it in an app called Dragonfly Max. And last year you were able to get everybody on there. Now he's giving us the ability to log into Dragonfly and update it so that we can get our new and updated GHSA pass. Those of you that have been on the board for a few years, you know we used to get the hard card every year. They've eliminated that and gone to this GHSA pass. Please try it in following the directions. If you have an issue, Dr. Gumby would be more than happy to help you as he did last year. If I help you, I'm going to have to ask Dr. Gumby for help. We got some great news this morning about the middle school. Miss Bird, I noticed you snuck in the back door. Congratulations, and you're not even aware. The middle school was nominated as an award Title I school this morning. What that, by the state, by the way. What that means is a reward school is among the 5% of Title I schools in the state that is making the most progress in improving the performance of all students over the most recent 2 years on the statewide assessments. Because assessments were not administered in the 2019-20 school year, this year's list is based on 2018-19 and 2019-20 data. Now, we all know, and especially in Lincoln County, that we go about this as a family and as a group. And I know you are hugging Miss Arthur. We also need to hug every teacher in both buildings and say thank you so much and congratulations. But I wanted to bring it up tonight, and they gave you a real nice certificate to go with it, and it's just to get nominated and honored is wonderful, and congratulations for all the hard work that all of our teachers and all of our staff do. And I thank you again. It makes it much easier to sit up here. It really does. Thank you.
Okay, we need a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive session.
Second by Mr. Madison.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more. I apologize. I have one more. Thank you very much for reminding me. I apologize. Mr. Heitman has gotten a couple of questions, and I got one question in regards to Wi-Fi at Buddy Bufford Field. We have talked to the phone company. They are researching it and supposed to get back with me tomorrow to give me a reasonable price, whether there's enough fiber currently down there to be able to try and make Wi-Fi work, or do they have to run a whole new line? They couldn't give me that answer today. I'm supposed to get it tomorrow. From there, we'll have a better idea of what it will cost us to make that happen. We're working on it. I know it's an inconvenience. For those of you that are on AT&T, I'm told that it works down there. I'm on Verizon. It doesn't work down there. So we're trying to make it work and trying to make it better. So if you had that question in your mind, I tried to clear that up.
So hang on. So if we do Wi-Fi, it'll be total Wi-Fi, or is it just for guest Wi-Fi?
We would try and, depending on the strength, we would try and make it available for the folks in the stands. I can't promise that, but that's what we're trying for.
I don't know if it was for
That's what we're trying.
school purposes or for that.
Definitely school purposes.
Right.
Yeah, school purposes would be first. Right.
All right, call our meeting back to order. Chris.
First time.
It's up here, I figure I might as well use it. It is recommended, and I make a motion, that we offer a musical theater supplement of $9,655 to Mr. Randy Smith.
I say.
You have a second? All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, and I make a motion, that we offer a $6,950 assistant musical theater supplement to Ms. Carol Lee Hobbins.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Miss Melissa Newsom.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we hire Desmond Ferguson as a parapro at the elementary school.
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Ms. Charity Zellers as a SPED parapro for the high school.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Bobby Jean Hogan as a substitute food service employee for the 2021-22 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we hire Ms. Jennifer Wood as a 7-hour per day food service employee for the 21-22 school year. Second by Mr. Heitman. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we hire Ms. Denana Halls for the 5-hour per day position for the food service position for the 21-22 school year.
Second.
Second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we hire Ms. Josie Ossie as assistant softball coach for the 21-22 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? It's recommended, I make a motion that we hire Mr. James Redding Jr. as substitute bus driver for the 21-22 school year. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we hire Mr. Ronnie Cleveland as custodian at the high school for the 21-22 school year.
Second.
Second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. I make a motion that we extend the superintendent's contract for 1 additional year.
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you all very much.
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Ms. Barksdale.